some things did, some ideas did sort of cross my mind before this evening, and partly because on Monday it was the Lumpur Cha Memorial Day, when there's a large meeting, huge gathering of lay people and monastics at Wat Nong Papong and Ubon, and there's a grand circumambulation of the Chedi there, and honoring the life and practice and teachings of Lumpur Cha. So that's partly on my mind, and so we'll have a period of meditation, maybe half an hour or so, and maybe the theme can be gratitude to kind of front end load what may transpire for the rest of the evening. Gratitude is, as I often say, gets us out of the way. It's one of those beautiful emotions which rise in the heart and fill the sort of empties out the sense of self, because its primary interest is in the conditions that support and permit us to live in some degree of grace and harmony, and of course it is so often focused on the words, the deeds, the thinking, thoughts, the attitudes, the presence of friends on whom we so often rely, whether they are living or not. Perhaps they have passed on, but we remember their presence and contribution in our life. Things that they did, things that they interrupted us from doing, maybe things that they encouraged us to do. So one way or another, this notion of gratitude is a very wonderful way to begin any period of meditation. Anything which gets us out of the way, to use that phrase. I probably overuse it perhaps, but I just keep finding it a very useful thing to remind myself of. But anything that is wholesome in this way, which gets us out of the way, tends to make, for one thing, the body a little easier to be in. Just so it sort of opens it up. Our preoccupation with the body doing this or that or the next thing is not quite so acute, and just makes it easier to be present. Then there's the breath, and it's always a good thing to take a couple of deep breaths, just being mindful of the breath, and maybe reminding yourself, this breath I'm taking right now, it's the only time I'll ever take this breath. It's the one and only. It's unique, utterly unique. The next one, same goes for the next one. And allowing this deepening breath just to relax the chest and relax the body to some degree, feeling the shoulders and bringing some attention to the neck, the throat, and the face. We often hold so much tension in the face, all of those micro muscles there that speak so eloquently of our ease or our difficulty, our tension, our anger, our ease, and all of these things seem to be transmitted through the face. So all of those muscles in the face have lots to do quite often, and just bringing the mind to the face, the lips, the eyes, and letting these muscles soften, relax. remembering that we aren't on display right now. Some of you even have your cameras off, so you're really anonymous. So this is very good. Another deep breath, bringing the attention to the chest, feeling it relax, bringing ease to that area, and the stomach, the tummy, just letting those muscles soften. Finding a comfortable way to keep the spine erect, alert, but not stressed, not tense in any way. Feeling the hands in the lap, maybe on the legs or sitting on top of one another. Just bringing the attention to the open palms. They're kind of receptive, in their open state. And at least for me, bringing attention to my hands will tend to, it's almost like it makes them blush. There's a feeling of alertness suddenly in the hands. Readiness. Maybe a bit of a pulsing of the blood. And there's listening, just that. Again, a very receptive state. Listening, wherever the sounds are, there's my voice in your environment, but probably there's a fan, a furnace, little clicks in kitchen or traffic rumble outside, perhaps wind. And so often for us, this shimmering quality, which seems to reside right within the ears, the hearing faculty, which in itself can be used as an object for meditation, just keeping the focus present there. Something Samedo refers to as a sound of silence, and something which he's used in his own meditation for 50 or 60 years. Continuing to watch and listen, watch the faculty of hearing. Notice that there is sound, whatever that sound is, and there's also the knowing of sound. There's the awareness of sound. Because when awareness is brought to some other sense, say someone were to loudly enter the room right now, you'd likely open your eyes and immediately look at the person, seeing who it was and what they might want be doing. Or if someone, maybe in your household, if you happen to be near the kitchen, suddenly put onions on the frying pan, your sense of smell would immediately rise to the fore. And anything like this will take the attention away from, let's say, just the sound of the shimmering that you may be hearing in your ears. Or if someone were to put an ice cube in your open palm right now, that's where your attention would go. So this knowing sense would move from object to object. Normally it's very much automatic, very much taken for granted, something which is unknown really in our experience, largely unknown. But as we know in meditation, we begin to take an interest in this mobility of attention, but always at the base of the attention is this faculty of knowing. So for the most part in our practice of mindfulness, there is normally a degree of effort. Sometimes, there's a fairly vigorous effort applied to remain mindful of something like the inhalation, exhalation of the breathing. Sometimes the effort is very slight, very subtle, very soft, gentle, because the mindfulness has become a kind of faculty, you might say, and it arises on its own, more or less, becomes more natural. But in this practice, it's this alertness to being mindful of something normally selected in the present moment. Just in this moment, right here, right now. And we, you might say, pre-select the subject that we will attend to. We'll bring our mindfulness, we'll develop our mindfulness in relation to, for example, the breathing. So we pre-select this, and then we generate this effort, this energy in this direction. And when thoughts or sensations come up which take us away, whether gradually without our knowing it or quite suddenly, abruptly, when that happens, and when we notice that, we bring it back, we bring the attention back to the breathing, let's say. And when that effort is no longer really required, when it becomes, you can say, natural or even habitual, if that word is understood as something which has been consciously cultivated. So it isn't unconscious, in other words. It's a positive form of habit, deliberate, with good intention and for a purpose. And when mindfulness has developed to a certain degree, then what happens, what coincides with that, is also a gradual, over time, stilling, softening of experience and a kind of dilation of attention. The moments seem to become longer, more spacious. And with this, the mind is increasingly less apt to become derailed, to forget, to lose mindfulness. And as a result, sometimes then the objects that come to mind, perhaps they are thoughts which emerge, blossom, flourish for a moment, and then pass away. These thoughts then can be observed, the moods, the impressions that are gained. We can observe the sensations that arise. Because they occur with enough clarity and with a sense of spaciousness. They occur in this kind of way, which enables us to be mindful watchers of them, and they are in no way disturbing anymore. So this can occur in meditation as well, but when it does, and that's when a meditation is going, we might say, well. But when it does, it happens because we put in the effort. We've spent that time using some form of discipline, some forms of effort to rein in the lively and sometimes unpredictable focus of attention that where mind is drawn from here to there in the next place. So throughout this, you might say two things are happening in tandem. One is that mindfulness is developing, deepening, strengthening, broadening, becoming more spacious, clear, alert. The other thing that is happening right alongside of it, mindfulness couldn't be doing this if it were not for the fact that the mind is also stabilizing, becoming more clear, softening, becoming more quiet. So the term we often hear is this is concentration, and many times you'll hear people kind of disagreeing with that translation, but let's for now call it a kind of added composure. The mind is becoming composed and clear. So that's another thing to be grateful for. how wonderful to be a human being and be interested in this kind of practice. It's actually quite subtle, given that the world confuses and astounds us from one day to the next with all manner of sensory options to consider, quite aggressive, quite violent sometimes. Colors, the beats of the music, the advertisements, the senses, the scents, all the perfumes that you encounter as you enter a department store, that kind of thing. And yet here we are, we have gained a kind of taste. We've developed an aesthetic appreciation for this profound simplicity that can arise in the mind when some discipline, some skillful discipline, gentle discipline is applied to it, directed towards the moment to moment arising of experience. How wonderful. And then we recognize that we know people who have a similar taste, similar sensibility, appreciate this similar characteristic of the mind, its potential, and value it. Something so simple as a value. When the world tells us, as a rule, that it's the colorful and complex and throbbing and interesting things in the world that are of value. And what we're finding is that there's some kind of deep value in being present to this moment, just as it arises. So let's sit for another few minutes, and I'll ring a bell when we're finished. So, oh, did you not hear the bell?
I'd like to formally request a Dhamma talk.